On Man City, again, a lot of the question in our title today, as opposed to a statement from me. A lot of people are calling them out. They're finished. They're complacent. They're fallen off this year. What do you think it is? One win in six. First time it's happened in the Premier League era, and then the second time it's happened in a league to Pep Guardiola as a manager, where he's gone through a 6-game period and only won one of them. There's a massive collapse at the weekend against Palace. What do you sort of put that down to, considering they only have a couple of injuries? What do you think has caused them an issue?
Well, firstly, they're not finished. They're nowhere near finished. I mean, I think a lot of people have forgotten we play Liverpool this weekend. So if we draw, which I think the likely outcome will be, then they're only 6 points behind us, and they've got a game in hand against Brentford. De Bruyne's back in training, and then they play us at the Etihad. They're far from finished. But it's fashionable, isn't it? Yeah, like for everyone's going, oh, they're no good anymore. They're off the boil. Yeah, let's just be real with it here. This is Pep's worst start to a season for Man City since he's been there. And they're only 5 points off the top. Yeah, that shows how far clear they are. The fact that Mahrez has gone, Laporte's gone, Cancelo's gone, Gundogan's gone. They've had De Bruyne out all season. Johnny Stones has been out most of the season. They've had Doku out at times. Grealish has been out at times this season. Yeah, like injured as well at the start. Yeah. Then they've had Rodri suspended for 4 games in total. Yeah, which has never happened before. Coinciding with injuries. And they didn't recruit properly. Yeah, they signed Mateus Nunes. Is he the level? Probably not. They wanted Paqueta. They ended up with him. They didn't recruit properly. Yeah, at the end of the day, people that moan about injuries and moan about stuff like that, it comes back to recruitment. Like I heard Tottenham fans saying, oh, but we've had loads of injuries. Well, recruit better backups then. Like, it's a recruitment problem. Yeah, Man City have got 4 players, one in Mahrez, who scored 15 goals last season, one in Gundogan, who was just clutch. I don't know how many goals he got, maybe double digits, but he was turning up left, right and centre. Both left the football club and they never replaced him because they looked at the squad and thought, right, well, maybe Doku came in to replace one, okay? But they've then looked at that and thought, yeah, we'll let Cancelo go, yeah, because we've got Vardial coming in, yeah, and then they've let Laporte go. Fair enough, cool. He won't the level, and they think they've got enough there to cover that, which I think they do, right? So defensively, they did all right. They covered the ones out with Vardial, yeah, and then you look into their midfield, and they've let Gundogan go. Who's replacing his goals? Because Nunes can't even get on the pitch. Yeah, then they've let their winger go, Mahrez. Yeah, and they've replaced it with Doku. Like, really? Like, come on. Yeah, so that's a downgrade. Yeah, and then coincides with Rodri, who is clutch all the time last season, scoring in finals left, right, and centre, scoring in big games left, right, and centre, being suspended for 4 games. Now De Bruyne, their creative guy, is out. Haaland's been out for the last few games. Anyone's going to struggle with that. But they're only 5 points away. That shows you how good they are. They're only 5 away. And De Bruyne's back in training. Haaland will be back soon. I don't know if he's back today. I think they're playing today, aren't they? In the Club World Cup. Yeah, then they go into the transfer window and go and buy a couple of players. All of a sudden, 16 straight wins and they win a title. We've seen this story before, Terry. Yeah. And even if Arsenal beat Liverpool, we're 8 points clear, but they'll have a game in hand. Well, it goes back to what we did last year. 8 points clear and they had a game in hand. So I'm not going to sit here saying they're finished. They're nowhere near finished.
I agree with you. That the whole nonsense that they're finished is crazy to me. I think you do not want that complacency seeping into your dressing room. I do think they have been a bit complacent this year, or at the very least, I think they find it hard to get up for these earlier stages of the season games. I think Gary Neville's spot on. And then I agree with you. I think their recruitment for the first time in a while has been poor, and they've seen legends leave their club. As you know, you've witnessed this a few times in your life, same as me at United. When legends leave, it's very hard to replace them. And you rarely get somebody that comes in who's of that level again. It's because when your players are that good, when they move on, there's often very few players in the world who are anywhere near their standard. And if they're already at big clubs, what you have to go for as the next best thing is someone that might become that good.
Or overpay to get them out of that club.
Yeah, or overpay, which
would you say they overpaid for Haaland? Probably not with the amount
because he had a buyout clause.
They didn't, but this is where Man City are very, very good. They will refuse to overpay. They wanted Paqueta. Man City went to West Ham and it's 95 mil. They went, yeah, see you later. They wanted
Oh
Declan
no,
Rice.
they pulled out of that deal. No, they pulled out of that deal because there was accusations of a betting scandal that were going on, so they had to pull out the
fair
deal.
enough. Well, Declan Rice is probably the best example.
But no, I hear you, and when you overpay, you actually look through it. Most players that you look at that have come into the Prem for 80 million plus, most have flopped. Declan Rice is one of the very few examples. Grealish has done well, but I wouldn't say he's a star of their team.
Come on, get out of here. Grealish is quality. Yeah,
he's a quality player, but they win with or without him. So it's
no. No way. Yeah, there was a reason that guy was integral to winning a treble last season.
He's important, but my view is if Grealish left in the summer, but Gundogan and Mahrez stayed, they'd look a better team than they do right now. I think he's a very good player for them.
On the left.
Well, I think
if Grealish left and they signed Doku, or just go
there, it don't really matter. But with Mahrez and Gundogan in the team, I think they'd have at least 5 to 6 more points than they have right now, minimum, which would put them top of the league. So.
Maybe you're right.
Maybe, yeah. But I think Grealish is good. But you look at most of those players that have been signed for 80 to 100 million pounds, or the ones where clubs have overpaid for them. How many have actually been resounding hits? Very few. Declan Rice currently, for me, is breaking the mold with how good he has been for that money. No, exactly. That's how good he's been, that his price has been completely ignored. But look, this idea that they're finished, the one thing, this was a strange thing, though. The City fans snapped back at me on a reaction show 2 games ago, where I said the one thing I'm jealous about when it comes to their club is that when they sign bad players or they buy duds, they replace them very quickly. I went, no, we don't. So, what do you mean? So we don't do it very quickly. Sometimes it takes a while. And I sat there and thought to myself, like, how long's a while? Within a couple of windows, if you have a dud, you've invariably replaced them, or you've gone down a different direction for a different type of player, but you've become a better team again. You guys don't sit there with flop. No worries, mate. They don't sit there and sort of labor under the delusion that a flop player is suddenly going to become good. Where I know a lot of our clubs, we buy a flop in 2015, and you can sometimes be sitting there in 2021 and they're still at your club and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell is going on? And that's why City are absolutely impeccably well run, whatever people think. Listen, viewers, make sure you hit like buttons, make sure you are subscribing as well. We're going to go to some more of your super chats in a few moments time. We'll start reading this one out here. Oh, yeah, from Safe. He says that the only reason why Lee does not want to challenge me as Safe can finish Lee, embarrass him. Plus, this football debate does not matter if I support Man United, Man U. Lee will lose the debate. Lee knows that. I don't think that's going to convince Lee, but I thank you for the super chat, bro. Thank you. Salah has already peaked. Saka is 5 years off this. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't think you can compare the two. Kevin here says, if you could only sign, I'll come back and ask Lee that question. We already saw Arsenal's ambition last January. It's a fair point, but that doesn't mean this January they're not going to do it. They're not going to buy anybody, does it? It's not that linear. So we will see what happens as a football community here on the Terrace in relation to that. Is Lee Gunner banned from the Emirates? No, not as far as I am aware. What is this? Amrabat, Casemiro, Mainu, ball up pass, Garnacho, let Anthony do something, free kick. I don't quite know what that means, mate. I should reading it out.
I love the internet, isn't you? People that have stepped foot in the Emirates talking about people that have. As for it doesn't matter whether he supports Man United as well, yeah.
Oh, right? Safe, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, right? If you went and supported a basketball team, right, in America, right, and the person that you wanted to debate with, right, online had supported that basketball team, yeah, for years and years and years, but you supported a different basketball team, but you think you know more than this person, you wouldn't have a debate with them, would you? You'd have a bit of shame. Yeah, so find some. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Get out of here. I couldn't care less about his opinion on Arteta. Yeah, ain't affecting my life any way, shape, or form, mate. So stop throwing your money. You can give your money to Terry. Do what you want. Yeah, you ain't debating me, mate.
Kevin here says, if you could only sign one centre back, one midfielder, one forward, which would you prefer?
Great question.
Yeah,
great question. Anderson at Palace, a very good backup centre back for Saliba and Gabriel. A bit of a throwback to an old school centre back he is, but I do like him. I think he's very good. I don't think it cost all that much money either. Midfielder's a bit of a tricky one because there's so many midfielders out there, but aren't any of them any good in like to get into that team? I mean, we're going to obviously talk about Arsenal in a minute, and 29 scores again. Yeah, but like if you look,
what about Onana? What about Onana? He's been linked.
This is what I was going to say. Yeah, him and Douglas Luiz. I don't really rate Douglas Luiz that highly, but is he better than Jorginho? But should that be the standard? No, it shouldn't. Go and get the best that we can get, not just better than the trash that we have. Yeah, because it's only a slight upgrade if we go and get him. Whereas if you go and get Onana, but I don't see Onana coming in Jan. I don't think Dyche. Onana's decent, but he can have potential to kick right on. Yeah, especially if you put Rice in the 8 and put him at the DM. Yeah, and I think Rice is so good going forward at times. Yeah, but he's kind of doing the forward role and he's kind of box to box. He's everywhere, Rice. Whereas I think that we'd get even more out of Declan Rice is if we put a proper DM there. But then there's that Fofana guy at, where is he? Monaco. Yeah, he's decent. But then again, these players are going to cost top dollar and I don't see us spending it. And as for the forward, it's got to be Ivan Toney. All day long, mate.
I want him so
Dominic
much.
Solanke, get out of here, man. Dominic Solanke, do me a favour. Yeah, he's just a taller, skinnier Eddie Nketiah. Yeah,
he's on good goal scoring form, but you know when it comes to Arsenal against them low blocks, that ain't happening. You know it ain't happening.
Mate, this is the thing. But I've seen people putting out compilations of and trying to convince people that he's good.
No.
He scored what? 2 goals. He scored. Jackson scored 7. I think he scored 9. Would you take Jackson at Arsenal up front? You wouldn't, would you?
No.
Right. So why would you take Solanke?
No,
like,
you wouldn't.
If you put him in a big team, he was at Liverpool and did nothing.
Jamie here says that did Pep foul by not integrating Palmer and losing him?
Well, listen, they got 40 million quid for him. Yeah, and Man City haven't spent a great deal of money, in the last 10 years because they're net because of academy players like that. And I know you don't, but the net ain't really a net. I know what you mean by that. But the amount of academy players they have sold, the total was about 400 million. Arsenal have actually outspent City on the net in the last decade. And that's because their academy produces players like that. Yeah, maybe he should have put him in, but at the same time, Pep wants to win now. Is Palmer going to win him the title playing week in, week out? I know he was part of a treble winning team, but he's only ever amassed 40 games for Man City.
Yeah.
So can you trust him to play 40 in a year? Probably not.